Yeah, we do have a quorum. Okay, so we're good. Okay, well, let's go ahead and kick this off. We're going to start the meeting at 7:04 p.m. And right now, at this moment, we have 16 attendees. It's a new record for us. Okay, flag salute. Okay. Everyone ready? I pledge allegiance
to the flag
of the
United States of America,
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Alrighty. Roll call of officers. Vice Chairman Brendan Riley. Donna Morris is excused. Director Tim Blakely.
Here,
Director Lisa Sanchez.
Present.
Director Dennis Shopner.
here,
And Director Shanine McArdle, who is excused. And Brennan just checked in. Good evening, Brennan. Has everyone had an opportunity to look at the agenda?
yes.
There were two. Why?
So that's meeting notices. I mean, meeting minutes are the two. Okay. Anyone wish to make a motion to adopt the agenda?
I'd like to add one item
What's that?
under old business. Under old business, a little bit of an update on the expansion of the that road around the railroad tracks and Rosamond Boulevard. I forgot what they're called.
We actually have that on the page. It's goals and project status, Dennis.
Is that when you want the report?
We'll pick a time somewhere along in there.
All right.
Okay, motion.
On motion.
Okay. Anyone seconding?
I'll second it, Bill.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Okay, there are two sets of meeting minutes that were distributed. One was for the November 19, 2020 meeting, and the other for last month's meeting, January 21st, 2021. They're very lengthy because I did a lot of reviewing of the video as I was doing this and picking up little bits and pieces here and there that I don't normally put in the meeting minutes. Anyone have any comments or questions regarding those meeting minutes?
No.
No.
I need to abstain from voting on the November minutes because I was absent.
Okay, no problem, Dennis.
And I as well.
Okay. All ready? Let's see. I'll have to make a note on that on the November. Okay. Like a motion then to adopt the January 2021 meeting minutes.
I'll make a motion.
Okay, thank you, Lisa. Any second?
I'll second.
Okay, thank you, Tim. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Community leader reports. Is Lieutenant Kraft here tonight?
Yes, sir, I am in.
Well, Lieutenant Kraft, you have the floor.
Okay, hopefully I'm a little more prepared this time than our last one, but I did, it seemed like marijuana was kind of the topic of discussion last time. So I pulled some of those stats, and we hit a few of them last year, but we do have several that were actually going to be hit this month. Last year, in January, we had 9 of them hit, and I'm not even sure if these are the ones that are still open, but we hit 9 of them. I say we, meaning the Special Investigations Division. They hit 9 over a 3-day period. So they were all closed down, but as we know, they open up pretty quickly. I did misspeak last time about the code enforcement. Back in my day, code enforcement helped us a lot. Now I guess there's another agency who I just spoke with yesterday, and it is the Department of Tax and Fees, a state agency that CHP accompanies, and they were supposed to be hitting several over today and yesterday. They were supposed to get back to me. I have not heard back on that, but what they were going to do is some tilt tap. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with that, but basically what that is they come in and take all of their cash, and they will sit there at during the whole entire day of business and take any cash that comes in throughout the day. So anyway, I think that'd be a good collaboration with those guys. I wasn't aware until I spoke with one of their supervisors that they were actually doing that. So the marijuana dispensaries are still on the radar. Our agency is not getting to them as often as we'd like, but there's so many. We do have some on the agenda for this month. I can't give dates and times, things like that, but it is on our radar. Any questions about those marijuana dispensaries?
Donna Morris was our primary questioner about that. She's excused tonight, but
Okay.
But Laura and I will pass what you have communicated, Lieutenant Kraft, to her, so she's aware of that.
Now, when you say you're taking cash, does that mean they're not being closed, but you're taking the cash? And if so, what's the purpose of that?
What they take all their marijuana and their cash. It's really, when we go there, we do a similar thing, but they are the Department of Tax. When we go there, it's different. We're going to go there and take everything they have with a warrant, but these guys are looking out for taxes and fees. So they're trying to get every dollar they can out of it. So they will actually stay there while they're open for business and take additional money as they come in, where we're just going to go there. And then of course they're not going to do any business while we are there. So it's a little different, but they do have, apparently they're not even armed. I was not real familiar with this agency until they actually reached out to me. So anyway, they're unarmed, but they bring CHP officers with them, and they will sit there and take all the cash that they have, and like I said, any more cash that comes in, because they're trying to get everything as much as they can. Where it's a little different than the way that we operate.
So it's a different agency with a different purpose than law enforcement, actually.
Yeah, it is law enforcement. I mean, they have a CHP with them, but they are unarmed. They are more like they're the tax and fee police is what I kind of got out of it. I'm not real familiar with them. I was not even sure that they were. I was not even aware that they do the marijuana dispensaries, but I was actually kind of glad to hear it because we shut them down, and with the collaborative effort between us and them, I think that's the best we can do right now.
Well, the result's the same other than locking them up, if you think about it, Jack, because it is going to discourage them from doing business.
Oh, yeah. I'm not doubting it or putting it down. Just curious.
No, I don't think
In
you
terms of
were.
the procedure itself. Yeah.
Yeah,
I think it's
and I spoke with, go ahead, you guys.
I think it's interesting that they took all their the stuff they have for sale and the money. So they're taking the cash, CASH, and the CHE, the cash.
Right. I thought it was
I
a
think
little,
it's hysterical myself. But
yeah, it's not the way that we operate, but I think it's another way to, get in their pocketbook and deter them from coming to our county anyway.
brought Jack to tears.
Other than that, those are the stats I brought. I did bring some other stats. Is there anything in the any talk of the town that anybody is curious about? I've been trying to stay up on everything in the log, even the night watch log. I know we had they called him a pedestrian, but he was there was a dead body by the train tracks a couple days ago. Did anybody was there anybody have questions on that, or did anybody hear about that?
I did not hear. What was that about?
I'm sorry?
I did not hear that. What was that about?
Okay, there was it was near the I'm trying to figure out what part of the railroad tracks it is. I know it was the railroad tracks in Rosamond, and it was a subject was found. It ended up being just off of the railroad right away, because the railroad does have a police department, and technically anything that happens that close to their tracks, they would investigate. But there was a dead body. It was outside of their jurisdiction, but we kind of figured that it was probably either he was struck by a train or jumped off of a train. We couldn't tell for sure. We did brief our homicide detectives, and it looked to the deputies on scene. Obviously, this is there's still an investigation going. It looked to the deputies on scene that the subject had actually jumped from a train. The train was not there when we were there, so either if he was struck, the conductor did not notice it. But it would make more sense if he jumped off of a train and died as a result from the impact. He was face down. Obviously, we couldn't touch the body. The coroners came, and they're going to do a full autopsy. And obviously, if they find a bullet hole or something like that in there, that'll change the investigation. But as far as preliminary, it looked as if he jumped from the train, and it was just a not a natural death, but I don't believe it was a suicide either, but probably an accidental. We actually didn't even have him identified yet, so.
Okay.
But we did get a couple calls from the media on that, so I figured you guys might have been asking about that.
It's news to us, so. Anything else, Lieutenant Grant?
No, last month was a steady month as usual. I'm looking at all the arrests we had here, and there's nothing real out of the ordinary. We had a handful of domestic violence and our standard calls in each of the areas that I oversee. I know this is just Rosamond, but they don't look like Rosamond doesn't look a whole lot. As far as their calls for service, everything was pretty standard. I mean, when I say standard, I mean in police work, we had our standard peace disturbances and our regular calls. We had several drunken publics, a few drug paraphernalia, and things of that nature, but no spikes or decreases in anything as opposed to all the other months.
What is the average number of calls for service in a month?
Well, if we look for just Rosamond, I'm getting them for the entire my whole section, but I'm looking at Rosamond. It looks like it's right about 400.
That sound about average, Bill?
It's a little below average, I think.
Yeah, it seemed to be. And of those 400 calls for service, how many arrests?
That was for last month.
Yeah, January.
The Rosamond, or I'm sorry, you got the. We had 1 arrest in Boron, 12 in Mojave, 3 in Tehachapi, 13 in Rosamond.
We have to lead some category.
There you go.
Okay.
Number 1 there. Tehachapi was fairly quiet, but I'll tell you what, Tehachapi is something else. When it gets busy over there, it gets real busy. It'll be quiet for months, and then it gets busy. But as far as Rosamond, yes, they you were the leader for last month in arrests. Let me look at the charges here just to see if there's anything you guys would
I feel
We were
so
the leader.
special.
Let me see if there's anything you guys would find interesting. Yeah, these are most of the calls I was looking at. We had some drug paraphernalia, driving on a suspended license, a few vehicle code things. Looks like a drunk in public. Yeah, the child endangerment that I wouldn't be able to release any information on. There was 1 child endangerment. It looks like on Valentine's Day, believe it or not.
Okay then.
But yeah, the rest, we got vandalism, a few domestic violence cases, and our standard peace disturbances, trespassing. Yeah.
Okay then.
But yeah, so a total
John,
of
do you
13
report on
arrests.
those? John, do you report on those in the paper? You're muted.
Excuse me, had to unmute. Yes, we do. We get from the sheriff's department, we get filings of the major ones, but the ones he's mentioning, we don't.
Okay.
Unless he wants to give them to us, then we might. We had to face.
Yeah, we have a process for that, and it would be the Public Request Act is what we have to go through for that stuff. But I would let you guys know if it was something that you guys would find interesting. This is all pretty, like I said, pretty standard stuff. But if you did want this stuff sent to you, our crime analysis unit will send it. You just have to go through the Public Records Request Act.
All right. Thank you very much, Lieutenant Kraft. I'm going to go ahead and step on to the next person. California
Yes,
Highway Patrol John Williams was going to be here tonight. I'm holding out hope that he'll show up a little bit late, rather than not at all. But he was very enthusiastic about getting back involved in the Rmac meeting. So I'm holding out hopes.
Okay, and just so you guys know, I did encourage him to attend these. So
I appreciate
anyway, if
it.
you guys don't have anything else for me, I'm going to carry on with my night.
All righty, sounds
Okay.
good. Thank you, Lieutenant Kraft.
All right, guys, have a good one.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Okay, next, California Assembly Representative Brandon, I see you there.
Hey guys, good to be back. I kind of missed these. Hope everyone's doing well, staying safe, staying healthy. So obviously with the new year comes new state budget, new bills being proposed, all of that. So I do have a little bit of information going on right now. Legislature reconvened on January 11th. The last date of proposed bills is going to be tomorrow, February 19th. So that's going to be the last date of proposed bills for the 2021 legislative session. So hopefully as of tomorrow, I should have a clear idea of everything that's going to be going into place, at least thus far. Obviously, things like people gutting bills and amending them can happen, but at least it gives us an idea. Currently, there's roughly right around 1,400 bills that have been proposed thus far. So obviously not all of them will make it through, but it is going to be a relatively hefty year. With that being said, January 8th, Governor Newsom proposed the new California budget. It increases state spending by $25 billion, putting the new spending budget up to $227 billion. And then on our side with Assemblyman Lackey, we currently have 8 bills proposed. We are a co-author on 18. Those numbers are more than likely going to change as of tomorrow and within the next month or so. Assemblyman Lackey is currently a member on 13 committees and a vice chair on 2. He's a vice chair on the Committee of Local Government and the Committee on Public Safety. We're really proud to say he's held that Committee on Public Safety position for a very long time, and that's obviously one of his major passions, being an ex-CHP officer. With that being said, out of the bills that we currently have proposed, there's a couple that I like to focus on. Two of them are ones that we two of them are ones that we are reproposing this year because they didn't actually get heard last year due to circumstances with the COVID-19 pandemic. Those two are going to be Gabriel's Law, which we've been pursuing for a while now. It's currently the bill number for it is going to be AB 31. And for anyone that doesn't know, Gabriel's Law is a bill to create a universal reporting system for any child abuse and child neglect, to ensure that no victims fall between the cracks and we don't see another travesty like what happened with Gabriel Fernandez or Anthony Avalos. The other bill that we're reproposing from last year is going to be AB 18. It's our bill that focuses on eliminating the backlog of rape kits in the state of California. For anyone that doesn't know, unfortunately, there is a massive backlog of untested rape kits in the state of California. And quite frankly, that should never be the case. There's too many people seeking justice that are sitting there for years. So Assemblyman Lackey's proposing a bill to put a deadline on it and try and get through this entire backlog within 3 years from it passing. And then from there, set a new deadline on how long a kit can go untested. With that being said, our primary focus is obviously to get justice for the victims and catch the criminals. The other bill that I'm focusing a lot on, and it's one that personally I'm really proud we're introducing, is going to be AB 282. So for anyone that doesn't know, last year, unfortunately, a bill was passed that granted misdemeanor diversion for certain misdemeanor crimes. It essentially allows the judge to administer his discretion on diverting certain sentencing for misdemeanor crimes. With that being said, obviously that has its own issues, and take that as you will. But the dilemma with this is it wasn't very specific on which crimes could and could not be diverted. Because of that, we're proposing AB 282. This bill would essentially limit a judge's discretion so they cannot grant misdemeanor diversion for child abuse, elder abuse, criminal threats, hate crimes, and DUIs. Obviously, that shouldn't even be on the table in the first place, that you should be able to have misdemeanor diversion for any of those crimes. But our goal with this is to protect the victim and not the criminal. At the end of the day, it's going to create a major problem in the state of California if major sentencing guidelines can be diverted, especially at judge's discretion. So we're pursuing this bill, and we're very hopeful it'll pass and it can provide more security for the constituents in the state of California. That's about all I have. Besides, actually, I also have AB 395, which essentially strengthens penalties for unlawful entry of a vehicle. So unlawfully breaking into a vehicle, it would strengthen the guidelines on criminal proceedings for that. And that's pretty much all I have on my side of the state level. If you guys have any questions, I'd be happy to answer anything.
Are you planning any kind of any kind of availability of our assemblymen in our area?
Right now, because of COVID, things are kind of up in the air. We're trying to do some different Zoom stuff. Obviously, once certain restrictions start being lifted, we would love to do another town hall out there for sure. Obviously, we're always available. If you guys ever want to talk to the assemblyman, please give us a call. We can always try and set something up. With that being said, as soon as we get the green light, and as soon as we're able to start hosting town halls, things like that, and trying to get things back to normal, we will make sure to do so.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
Brendan, glad to have you back.
Glad to be back. I missed you guys.
Okay, Laura, you have the floor for the supervisor.
Good evening, everyone. Laura Lynn Wyatt with Kern County Supervisor Zach Scrivener's office. I have a couple things for you. The new signage and new energy efficient lighting has been ordered for the exterior of Hummel Hall. Projected delivery for the signage is 4 to 6 weeks. I will tell you the last sign, it went about 2 weeks over that before I actually saw it installed. So I would say realistically 6 to 8 weeks is probably a better timeline. But with that will be all new signage for the exterior of Hummel Hall with implementation of the new county branding that they adopted last year. And that will also have all new energy efficient exterior lighting. So I'm excited to announce that to you guys. Also back on the 9th at the Board of Supervisors meeting, they approved funding for a rural mobile vaccine unit for COVID-19 vaccines. By the time it was approved in the afternoon on the 9th, and we already had the logistics in line, and the very first clinic was held the following Monday. So I'm really proud of that. That took a lot of work with Kern County Health Department and Adventist Health Tehachapi Valley. I mean, on the 9th, the bus didn't even have graphics on it. So they moved quick. And so we were in Rosamond at the Rosamond Library Monday and Tuesday, the 15th and 16th of this week. 80 vaccines were administered on each day. And then we were in Mojave Wednesday. We were in Boron today. And we will be in California City at the Adventist Health Clinic in California City tomorrow. 80 vaccines will be administered at each location. That is what the state allotment allows for the number of vaccines that Adventist Health Tehachapi is being allocated, and staffing as well. There are 2 additional staff members that are going through background checks right now, so we will be adding them to the mobile unit. And there are plans to expand the number of vaccines as supply becomes available. Adventist Health Tehachapi Valley has capability of doing 1,000 vaccines a day at a mobile unit, but the supply is not there right now to handle that. So we anticipate it over the next month or 2 growing rapidly and increasing those numbers. So again, the schedule is Mondays and Tuesdays at the Rosamond Library, Wednesdays at the Mojave Senior Center Vet Hall, Thursdays in Boron at the Boron Junior Senior High School, and Fridays at the Adventist Health Clinic in California City. That schedule will remain and will repeat week after week after week. So we will be back in Rosamond again this coming Monday and Tuesday. The Rosamond Clinic is a drive-through, so you don't even get out of your car. And we use every other parking space, so even the cars are social distancing. So if you know somebody that fits the criteria that is set forth by the state right now for eligibility, meaning you have to be 65 or older. And we have also limited it to Kern County residents only. We owe it to our taxpayers to use the money that is allocated for this mobile vaccine clinic to serve the residents of Kern County. And vaccine tourism is a real thing. And we don't want people traveling. They had someone drive from Coalinga the other day to try to get their vaccine in Kern County. And we turned them away because it's important that we serve our constituents first, right? So if you know anybody that is 65 and older and has not had their vaccine and desires to have a vaccine, they can visit Kern County Public Health, their website. There's a big button right in the middle that says COVID-19 vaccine, and you can research the site. The stationary sites, such as Tehachapi Hospital, Ridgecrest Hospital, those are on that map in addition to the mobile vaccine sites. And the purpose of this rule, it's a rural mobile vaccine. So it will only be going to communities that do not have a hospital. And they will go all the way through Kern County. So eventually they'll branch out. They'll have Kernville, Lake Isabella, Fraser Park, Pine Mountain Club, all of the small communities within the entire county that do not have a hospital. So you will not see the mobile unit with dates in Tehachapi, for example, because Tehachapi has a hospital, okay? So that's the whole purpose of this. We're very proud of it. I'm glad we were able to get the funding that was needed and the staffing that was needed. And it's been a huge success so far. In closing, I have to thank Rmac and Guido's for providing lunch to the healthcare workers on Monday. And I have to thank the Rosamond Chamber of Commerce and Frosty Freeze for providing lunch for the healthcare workers on Tuesday. The state health department mandates that these, where the rural or the mobile clinic parks, there has to be access to a clean restroom with hot running water so the healthcare workers can wash their hands and use a clean facility. And because they are riding together on this bus, they don't have their cars they don't have their personal vehicles with them. So one of the state parameters was walking distance to food. And as you know, in some of our rural communities, that's not really feasible. So I made a couple calls, and Rmac, thank you so much. Rosamond Chamber, thank you so much. You guys stepped up to the plate and brought lunch to them. So, and they were very, very grateful. So thank you very much. If you guys have any questions, John Joyce, again, we're going to be at the library Monday and Tuesday of next week. If you want to come out and pay us a visit, we can give you, a press tour and go from there.
Do the people have to make reservations?
Yes.
Appointments?
Yes, it is by appointment only. So they have to go to the Kern County Health Department website.
Okay.
And register, because
Okay.
we have to make sure that they fit within the criteria. There's only a limited number of spaces per day. So we can't, just open the floodgates and have 200 people show up, because we're not going to have 200 vaccines.
And this is at the library, so.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
Dennis, I didn't catch
Yes.
that.
Library?
I'm sorry?
This is at the library?
That's correct. Rosamond
Okay.
Library.
Because at first,
Mondays and
you
Tuesdays.
at first you were talking about Hummel Hall, and I'm
No.
glad you-
We moved from Hummel Hall because there was a conflict with the receiving and distribution of the commodities there. So space became very limited quickly. And the library, their parking lot, is a little bit bigger. We weren't going to be competing with a semi truck delivering commodities, things like that. So we switched to the
Gotcha.
library.
Laura, I have a question. Do you have any idea, or maybe you've heard, when possibly this will open for teachers of all ages?
Yes, I am only going on a rumor mill at this time. Then it has to come straight from the governor. When that changes, that is completely up to him and his office. The county doesn't have control of that. But we are being told that within the next couple of weeks, we could see some changes in some of the eligibility requirements. Whether that means teachers will be included or not, whether they tweak the age bracket a little bit, we don't know exactly what that's going to entail. But we are being told that there should be some changes coming in the next couple of weeks. And I thought there was one more thing I was going to tell you, but I can't remember. It's been a long day. I've been in Boron all day at the mobile clinic. So
Okay, then. Thank you very much, Laura.
thanks, you guys.
And I think we enjoyed having those folks down on Monday and Tuesday. Very enthusiastic young group of people.
And it's so rewarding. We have our 65 plus group showing up for their appointments, And they're so excited. We get comments like, this is my ticket. I get to go see my sister, or I get to see my grandkids, or I get to travel. And they're so excited. And I know the other thing I was going to tell you guys too. We are, thanks to Bill, he made the connection. And I think Lisa, I think you helped with this as well. I had a long conversation today with Christy at is it Rosamond Hills or Rosamond Heights?
Rosamond Hills.
Rosamond Hills. Okay. So we have coordinated everything. She is helping me get their handwritten appointment forms done. So because a lot of her residents don't have access to the internet or to a computer, or maybe are not computer savvy. So I emailed her the form that needs to be filled out. And she thinks she's got about 25 to 30 people on her list right now. So we will be coordinating, and we're thinking at one point, just after we're done at the library one day, we'll drive over there before they go back to the hospital. We don't know what date that's going to be yet, because she's got to get those forms filled out for me, but we are working on that. So thank you for bringing that to our attention.
Thank you, Laura and Bill, for doing that. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Lisa.
Now,
Yes.
Christy is supposed to be helping Laura with, there's another group of seniors. And I guess they're based out of Hummel Hall. And Christy's supposed to be helping get us lined up with that person so we can get them on board.
Okay.
That's great. That's great. And if you guys hear of something like that, Adventist Health, Tehachapi Valley, they drive the bus, they run the show, but they're definitely open to trying to accommodate some of the facilities like that.
Right.
So, but as more vaccines become available, extra stops and extra locations will become easier and easier for them to do. But we need more vaccines.
Okay. Thank you very much, Laura.
Thanks, you guys.
Okay, Rosamond Community Services District, I don't see a representative from there tonight. Okay, Rosamond Chamber of Commerce, Jack, you have the floor.
All righty. I'd like to start off saying that, I'm sitting here looking at my phone and Dennis Schaffner mooned me.
That actually
I don't know whether to laugh or complain on that, right?
It was a very scientific thing, by the way. Very scientific.
It is, yeah. I figured I better show the picture just so they knew what I was talking about.
Yeah, I'm glad you showed the picture to explain yourself.
Yeah.
Oh, really don't have a lot to report. We didn't get our meeting, couldn't get everybody together for our board meeting. We did have our Zoom meeting earlier. Laura was there, and Allie was there, and Dean Melters was there, and myself, and that was about it. But cement part's done until we can get more grants, and grants have been canceled for this year. So it'll probably be next year before we see additional grants to finish up the cement that we need to finish up. And as far as the remodel of the interior, the board has not been able to come to a consensus as to how we should spend that remodel yet. That is to be determined as to how and when we're going to remodel, because it hasn't been agreed upon and approved. Let's see, as Laura was talking, I know what I was going to say. Dean's been working on the solar, and it's a little over his head. So if anybody knows anybody that specializes in I don't know who's in the background, it's getting a little annoying. But, might be Michael Garrett there. But anyhow,
I'm gonna put him on mute.
all right. Anyhow, he was a little confused about the specking out the requirements and stuff for the solar to get it approved through Edison and the county and so forth. He didn't. I had to explain Ohm's law to him. He didn't quite have a good understanding of that. So he really does need some help. I mean, I know a lot about electrical and electronics, but I really don't know that much about the solar market itself. You know,
Jack, what you might do, check with Alan Fawn or Phone, depending on how you want to pronounce the last name, but he's a general
F-O-N-E,
contractor.
what is it?
Alan
Alan?
Phone, F-O-N-E.
F-O-N-E.
He's a general contractor. I think the name of his company is AHS. He's done solar at his place, so I'm assuming that he might be able to help you with any technical issues you have.
Yeah, we could use some help actually. It's
There's lights in our truck.
it's new for us, and so, I mean, buying the parts is easy, but getting everything spec'd out and so forth, you know, that's the hard part. So beyond that, as Laura was talking about, you know, had to make some food deliveries on Monday and Tuesday there. I'm going to see about, I mean, there's really not too many places open that offer food right now. See if we can get some food for Monday and Tuesday, but no guarantee yet as to be available. What's the, still going to be about 10 head count on the workers?
Yes, that's correct.
So at first it was 20 on Monday and then it went down to 10 workers on Tuesday. So I may have a couple of people, if anybody else got suggestions. I don't want to have to use the same businesses. It's just not fair to ask them to do it.
I agree with you, Jack. We should spread the wealth of that.
Right, exactly. Yeah, and they're getting recognized for it, you know, so I mean, it benefits them.
Absolutely. And you guys, a couple of the other communities, you know, other chambers, Lions Club, Rotary, today for Boron, Rio Tinto sponsored and bought the lunch. So there's some creative ways that we can reach out. If you guys want some help with that, by all means. But again, it's a kind, generous, nice thing to do. But if we have to say, you know, hey guys, yeah, you're going to Rosamond on Monday and you have to bring your lunchbox, that's not the end of the world either. So we'll make it do.
Well, I'll let you know before Monday.
Okay, thank you, Jack.
Get some else. So my heads up. That's about it. I can't answer any more to you, Dennis. Just because we haven't had a chance to discuss it. We were going to discuss it this week on the board meeting agenda, and because we couldn't get everybody together this week, discuss it with them. So we'll be but it is on the agenda. Get together as a board meeting, which will probably be next week.
Thank you, Jack.
Yeah.
Southern Kern Unified School District. Barbara, you have the floor.
Okay, well, it's a pleasure to be back and join you this evening. So much to say, so if you get tired of hearing me, please just tell me to stop. There's been a lot going on this since COVID hit our district last March. We were one day away from spring break and we were directed to close down, but I'm very proud of Southern Kern School District in that the governor put out 4 mandates at that time. And one of them was to continue paying all employees, feeding all of our students, providing supervision for our at-risk parents, and also, of course, making sure that our students were getting distance learning. And there were only 2 districts in the county of Kern who met all 4 mandates, and Delano, which I'm not even sure where that is, was one of them. And I'm proud to say Southern Kern was the other. So my child nutrition department did not miss a beat. We fed breakfast, lunch, and dinner for the kids. And I'm very, very proud of that team of men and women who work in child nutrition. We also, prior to COVID, we were a school district that had devices in the hands of our 4th through 12th grade students. This past year, this current year, I just spent $2.7 million. Southern Kern Unified School District could compete with any district in the state of California technology-wise. Every student in TK through 12 has a device now. Every teacher in the district got a new computer and a new Promethean board, which is one of those huge big boards. It's a board used to engage the students, and we have one of those in every classroom in the district. So, and we got a new, and I'm not a tech person, so our gigabytes, whatever, is all the way to 10, and so all in all, we spent $2.7 million, which was one-time funding that we received to mitigate learning loss. As I think I shared with you at the last spring, we were in the process of getting all of the money paid back to Kern. We are now a debt-free district. We paid back the $3.5 million, and our goal come the end of June this year, if things go well, although the governor is giving us some deferrals next month that we have to deal with first, but we should have a reserve possibly close to 10%, which is something we're really, really excited about in Southern Kern, because the one thing I never want to do as the superintendent is to put the district back in any kind of debt. So I'm very, very excited about that. Our Rosamond High School was WASC accredited for 6 years. We just found out this week that Abe Lincoln Independent Study just got WASC accreditation until 2025. And Rare Earth Alternative High School also just got WASC accredited till 2025. As you probably know, we have 2 new board members. I serve an all-male board. How lucky can one girl get, right? And one of them is an 18-year-old who was on the board last year as the student representative. So I did a little research in the state just to see, and I could not find anywhere in the state of California any board that has anyone 18 or younger. I did find a 17-year-old in the state of Kentucky. So I believe our board member, Mr. Dwayne Moore, is the youngest board member in the state. And let me tell you, he is a force to reckon with. I've said it all along. He's not really after being a board member. He's after my job. I just asked him to please let me retire first before he takes it. So he is quite an amazing young man, and a pleasure to work with, as with Mr. Bob Bensalet, who is also our newly elected board members. Sad to see the 2 ladies go, but Yolanda Sanchez and Dr. Carol Robinson, but we're moving along. Also want to share that we got a grant. We're going to be getting 5 new school buses fairly soon. So none of them are special ed buses. So we may have to break down and buy a new special ed bus in the very near future, but we will be getting 5 new school buses. We're planning on, this COVID has been a total nightmare because I have to follow the governor, Kern County Superintendents of Schools, the county health department, Cal OSHA. I have so many people telling me who, what, when, where, and why. I have revised my safety plan literally 5 times. So when you look at it on the website, you will see that it says draft, and I'm going to leave it saying draft because by next week I may have to revise it again. We would love to return to school. We did return to school for 3 weeks for our special needs students, only to find that after the end of the 3 weeks, we jumped right back from the red deep into the purple, and it actually got worse again in January, especially December and January being the worst. Rosamond High School just got a $188,000 career technical education grant. We received DSA approval on Tuesday for our 6 new classrooms at Rosamond Elementary School. So pretty soon you're going to see the construction going crazy again over at RES. We're also expected to get a $11.5 million refund that the district spent in building Rosamond Elementary School. I've been told that that money could come anytime between May and November. So that is not money that we have to build anything else with, but our goal is, if you've been on the campus of Rosamond High School lately, you know that that campus needs so much. And so our goal is to build a new cafeteria on the campus of Rosamond High School, should we get that 11.5 million. We also have our own testing center at Southern Kern. It's on our right beside the high school at our early college campus, and our employees can test in there Monday through Friday from 8 to 4, and yours truly gets to drop the tests off at the FedEx in Lancaster on a daily basis, but because they go to a lab in Valencia, but that's okay. And I think pretty much, I'm sure you may have some questions for me, but I did want to say that I met with Mr. Steve Perez today to talk about a community garden. I don't know if any of you were aware of this. Is something they have planned, and hopefully our school district will be able to participate with that. And in meeting with him today, I also talked to him about the fact that I needed to meet with him to discuss a United Street Park. I've had some concerns, questions about the water situation there, and we've not been able to maintain the watering because at the time that the district went financially upside down, they were spending $65,000 a year to water that park. So I thought I would chat with Mr. Perez to see if there's any way, somehow it could be a community effort to improve what the park looks like currently. So that's kind of everything. I've kind of thrown a bunch of things in there. If you have any questions for me, I will do my best to answer them. We'd like to open school, but right now our problem is teachers want to be vaccinated. That's where we are.
Do you have do you have a disaster preparedness person?
A disaster preparedness person. The person, we have safety plans at all of our school sites. As a matter of fact, they were just board approved last night, and including one at the district office. The person who runs our great shakeout drills at the district is our CBO runs that, but we don't have a person that actually has that job description. No, sir.
Okay. CBO, what is that?
Chief Business Officer.
Okay.
Now, Bill and I in one meeting was discussing the topic of Wi-Fi hotspots for kids with able to have the opportunity to have Wi-Fi hotspots for schooling. What has district done to address that? Anything or?
Yes, sir, we actually have. We've spent thousands and thousands of dollars on those Wi-Fi hotspots. We have distributed them all the way out toward the Willow Springs, out in that area. Any family that has asked for a hotspot, we have provided one. Yes, and we pay the bill for it.
There's a story, John.
So are these like a portable hotspots, or is these some that unit that's installed in their home, or what type of hotspot is being delivered? You know,
They're portable, and I believe they're, gosh, all the different brands. It's like on the tip of my tongue. You probably know better.
so it's
than
like a 5G hotspot unit.
It's like they're T-Mobile hotspots.
T-Mobile.
okay.
Thank you. That's
Yes, you're
exactly what
welcome.
they are. Thank you. How do you know
You're
that?
welcome.
They're T-Mobile. We initially had a few, maybe a dozen or so of another brand, and we just found they weren't being very effective. So then we went to T-Mobile, and they seem to work better for the kids and the
Yeah.
families.
Oh, good.
I just have one more question for you, Ms. Gaines.
Yes.
So I know you're aware of all the houses being built
Mhm.
and the apartments getting ready to go in shortly. What's your plan for a new elementary school with 2,000 new homes? You probably have about 1,000 new kids.
Yes, yes. And one of the, yes, you just couldn't let me get off.
I couldn't let it go. I couldn't let it go.
That, could you?
I'm just wondering. I'm worried. I'm worried.
It is a concern of ours, although, Lisa, let me tell you, as you asked this question, currently my enrollment is on a decline. This
Okay.
time last year, I had 155 more students than I do today. So I'm down about 155 students. If you equate that to teachers, that's about 5 teachers.
Right.
But we obviously we haven't gotten rid of any teachers at this point in time. One of the things that was discussed, the board has tossed around, nothing definite, just conversation only, is putting a school on at the park, because I understand part of that park has a fault line that kind of goes through, but I also know there's another patch of that. I'm not sure if it's the northeast or one of those areas is doable, probably for a school, maybe the size to accommodate 400 to 500 elementary kids, something like that. Once we finish Rosamond Elementary, then everything will be moved off of the old site right beside there. And that's another area that perhaps we could modernize down the road to meet the needs of our growing community. But yes, we are aware that there's houses.
Okay. I just want to be sure you were aware.
Yeah, we're aware, and
Thank you.
yeah, we're aware of that.
Okay, then.
Anybody
Thank
else
you
have
very
any
much, Superintendent Gaines. I
You're very
appreciate it.
welcome. Thank you.
Antelope Valley Citizens for Responsible Use of Water. Randy Scott, you have the floor.
Okay, a little bit on update on water supply situation. Even with the most recent rains we've had, we're roughly about 50% of the average rainfall rate throughout the state. It varies different parts of the states, but it's roughly about 50%. So the state water project allocation is still at 10% and that's really not too big a concern at the moment or anything like that. And if you remember last year, we're a little bit better than last year, but not much so far. Last year, the final allocation went up to 20% in May. So I don't expect that we're going to see too much change over, at least not for the next couple of months or so. From a prediction standpoint, as far as rainfall, it's interesting. I haven't found too many predictions, but even the Department of Water Resources said they doubt much any credence with anything that's more than about 2 weeks out. From a snowfall snowpack standpoint, depending on where you look in the state, it's the overall average is about 2/3 of normal of this time of the year. Obviously, they're hoping to get a bit more. And from the reservoir conditions, Northern California, there may be about a little over, roughly about an average of about 2/3 of the historical average. San Luis Reservoir, which is where the water project, the aqueduct, gets most of its water from us or to us down here, is about 68% of its historical average. A couple of reservoirs further south of us, Castaic and Lake Paris, are 91% and 112% of their historic average, so they're not doing too bad. And that's about it. Oh, other than you'd asked me last time to make contact with AVIC about a tour. I did. Was in contact with Dwight Chisholm. He's the general manager. He gave us his points of contact and his administrative assistant or executive assistant, and I gave that information to Bill some days ago. And so it's up to you all, but he's got the information as far as whatever tour that you want to set up. And they are willing to do that, no problem.
I appreciate that a lot. Any questions for Andy? Okay, hearing none, we move on to Edwards Air Force Base. Do you have anything, Dennis? If not, I'll touch on something that I have.
The only thing I had had to do with who we were to contact regarding that defense access roads the thing that is on the other list that you said.
And I got the points of contact, Dennis, for it's basically the two folks. I had mentioned it to General Higer when I was out there a few months ago, but it got the points of contact, which is the Test Wing Vice Commander and the Test Wing XP. And I gave that information to Bill the other day too. I emailed that to Bill.
Well, as long as you're on it, I talked to the guy who had that responsibility before, Dave Smith, today. You know, as you know, he left that position and is now in charge of Plant 42. So he's out of the loop. But when he was so sick and very close to death, quite frankly, he told me today that a lot of the responsibilities that he had been farmed down to the various groups. So he thought that the best point of contact for us would be the head of civil engineering, Jim Judkins, because that kind of thing would fall in his circle of influence. So that's the probably the other guys are fine, but in terms of actual hands-on, this is the guy that's probably going to end up doing the work. It's somebody that works for Jim.
Well, I understand that. Yeah, I would just suggest, since it was General Higer that suggested the Test Wing Vice Commander and the XP, that you might want to start with them, and they may delegate it down to Judkins, but I would start a little bit higher up.
Right. Well, I agree, but it was.
I think what I'll do is I'll drag Dennis out there with me. He knows how to talk to Air Force guys. And
what was that about Dennis and drag? What was that?
Yeah, drag you out there.
Put the dress on again. I can't believe it.
Dennis, you get worried they found out about your early life?
Yes.
Hey guys, regarding Edwards Air Force Base, there was a press release in the Bakersfield paper that their Edwards Air Force Base is set to break ground on a joint simulation environment facility.
Yeah, they did it today.
They did today?
Yeah, I was there. The 412 Electronic Warfare Group just broke ground on a new joint simulation environment facility that would essentially allow for new software testing. It was a great ceremony. And then last week, they also had a group of airmen transition from the Air Force and Edwards Air Force Base to the U.S. Space Force.
Yes.
So those were two of the different things.
one of the key takeaways is they're anticipating about 50 additional jobs directly related to this project. So there you go again with your housing and more elementary schools.
Ah.
Any
more
idea of
taxes.
where that new facility is going to be located?
Yeah, more taxes, right, Lisa? More income. We want more income.
More income.
It just
Did
says
they-
when construction is supposed to start. It doesn't say exactly where on the base, Dennis.
Oh, it doesn't say where?
No.
Because electronic warfare, I would imagine would be off toward IFAS land, but
I believe it's by
You-
the bath.
it's where?
I believe it's over by the bath, the benefit
Yeah, okay.
okay chamber.
Well, that's where everything else is. So that is part of that group. So that makes perfect sense. And they've got room down there.
I believe so.
Randy, they got real estate down there.
Okay.
Yeah, and it wouldn't impact the airfield itself. No.
Okay. Any other folks have anything to say? Or any kind of report to make? If not, we'll move to paragraph 7, guest speaker. We originally, when we issued this agenda, we didn't have a guest speaker. Then we had an opportunity to have a guest speaker, and I ran around and got the guest speaker put on here, put on the revised agenda. And unfortunately, the guest speaker had to drop out. But we will have the district attorney here next month at the
All right.
March 18 meeting. Okay, community announcements. Any community announcements?
Yes. March, I believe it's the 14th. I'm sorry, I do not have my calendar in front of me. It may be the 13th. It's a Saturday. We're gonna do the bulky waste day again with waste management. Can somebody look at a
It's March
calendar?
13th.
Thank you.
13th, 8 a.m. till noon.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm sorry. I'm on my phone, so I don't have a calendar in front of me.
That's okay.
Thank you,
On
Ally.
which
I
day?
appreciate that.
What was
So
the
yes,
date
it'll
again?
be that day as well.
March 13th.
March 13th. Okay.
Also, I did speak to Ally, and the gentleman in charge of the yard in Rosamond. They are down to 1 employee running that yard. Due to COVID, there's only 1 person in the office, and he's trying to handle everything. I know I personally have had issues myself too with getting septic and stuff like that done. So, but they're working as fast as they can. And I know that everyone's kind of taking a hit on it, but they are doing their best with only having 1 employee there. So just give them a minute and I'm sure that they'll get it right back on track, you guys.
And
Well, that brings up a question, Ally, and I'm sorry to jump in here, but
No, that's okay.
one of the biggest complaints, I guess, is getting a trash can replaced.
Okay.
Is it possible for a resident to bring their trash can down to the Rosamond?
No. Well, they don't have a normal stockpile, so they may be able to do it sometimes, but it's not always a 100%. Something you can do, and I did let the Rosamond Chamber know this earlier, is a lot of times I get complaints and it's like, oh, someone had a cart and something happened with it. And then that's all that I get from that. So you are always welcome to send people my way or give them my number or my email. And I can kind of expedite that process and make sure that it goes through, and that goes for anybody here. Because we do also have a new district manager covering Rosamond. And so she's really trying to get everything in tip-top shape and also wants to hear about those things so she knows where the issues are.
Okay, and by the way, we hope you're feeling better. We understand you were a little bit under the weather there too.
I was, but I'm feeling better. I still don't taste anything. That's like a really long, drawn out, but I'm feeling fine. Thank you.
Okay,
Good.
alrighty. Any other public comments or announcements? John, did you have anything?
A couple things that didn't get mentioned. Congressman McCarthy is looking for interns that pays something, and they serve in Bakersfield and Washington, DC.
Let me snip them.
RCSD at their meeting expressed a desire to team up with Rmac to tackle trash problem. But I think we just heard what's wrong with the trash problem, and it sounds like it's being handled. And the other good news, last night, were the Teachers of the Year and all the teachers in Southern Kern. And a great group of people. And out of that group, one of them was chosen to go to Bakersfield and represent the district. I'm not going to tell you who it is. You have to read the Rosamond News to find out. It's a great.
Doesn't it fall under the category of shameless plug?
And she's a great teacher, always has been. And as you remember, Mr. Ferrandini was Kern County Teacher of the Year. And the new one could easily win. So you got to congratulate Superintendent Gates and the school for having such and taking care of such a great group of teachers.
John, I just want to say that as you heard last night, that was a tough decision because we had 5 candidates and the write-ups on all 5 of them were incredible. But in looking at everything, the one that was selected, and I won't give out the name either, was felt by the cabinet that should be the one we send.
Yeah, good choice.
Yeah.
Okay, is that it, John?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and jump on down to the business meeting. We need to kind of step up our speed a little bit here. Item 10A, Disaster Preparedness Committee for Earthquake, Fire, and/or Civil Unrest. Brendan, do you have anything for us?
I touched base with the committee members, excuse me, last week, and don't have anything to report at this time. Hopefully we'll meet again in the next couple of weeks and get more information going.
Okay, I was made aware of a small problem. Were you able to get with Greg Washington and work something out with him? Because I think there was some misunderstanding there somewhere. I don't know if it's on our side or on our CSD side or just between individuals, but I want to make sure that we're always working hard to maintain a relationship with everyone.
And you said Greg Washington?
Yes.
Okay. When I mentioned that he reached out to me and I responded to his email, I never got anything back. I heard he was no longer part of that group. Or am I not recalling things correctly from last month?
No, that's what I have down, but it was my understanding that there was some bit of a disagreement or some interpretation of something that didn't happen. So
no, he reached out and offered to have me join or attend one of their emergency planning meetings, and then that was it. So apparently I need a new contact if that's still to be the case.
Okay. Yeah, we're waiting for the assignments from RCSD. That was something Greg Wood promised us last month, said that they would, with a new board, they were supposed to redistribute assignments and stuff like that. So we're waiting for that.
Okay, please let me know if you get any information.
Already will do. 10B, Committee for Rosamond Municipal Advisory Council 15th Anniversary, March 7, 2021. Myself and Lisa Sanchez and also Laura Wyatt have been working on this. I'm going to tell you, I had some really grandiose plans for this, but it was kind of contingent upon what was going to happen with the coronavirus. And the more I listen to the news, the sicker I get. It sounds to me like that there's going to be some form of social distancing probably through this whole year. Even with the immunizations, if you follow what CDC is saying. So my thought about having a dinner party for Rmac, I have gone away from that. So I don't think there's a need to have a meeting on March 7th, a special meeting for Rmac. We can do it at our normal scheduled meeting on the 18th of March. And we'll do that at the very beginning of the meeting so that if Zach is a participant, Laura, he doesn't have to stay for the whole meeting if he doesn't want to. And I am working on the snorkel for you, Dennis. Okay. Committee on the Adjustment of Rosamond, Rmac boundaries, item 10C. In your package that I gave you, on the last sheet is the layout comparison of boundaries between all the different entities out here. And for those of you that don't have the handout, I'll give you a kind of a verbal description of it. It's a layout of the 93560 zip code for this area. And that's a huge chunk of land. And upon that, I took and did an overlay of not only SKUSD's boundaries, which is all the way out to 240th and to Bacchus Road. I have down there Rmacs from the beginning of 2006, where the boundary line was set at 60th Street West. Somewhere down the road, it got changed to 90th Street West. I don't know what year that occurred. And then in 2013, through formal board action, the boundary line was moved out to 190th Street West. But the northern boundary has always been Dawn Road. As I have mentioned a couple of times in these meetings, I would really like to see our footprint be the same as the school districts. Because I see a lot of things that the school district does that we need to be aware of and need to help out and stuff like that. And so my recommendation, Laura, that will come to you probably in a letter once we've got the language of it worked out, and after our council has voted on it, it will probably come seeking to adjust the boundaries. But in the near term, I am still very, very concerned with what our voting population is for municipal elections. To see the turnout, and it's less than 5,000 people aggregate for election, whether it's a state election or it's the national elections, is really a sad state of affairs. In 2010, our population was 18,000. And I'm hearing here now, 10 years later, our population is 20,000. I don't buy it. I just don't. I'll buy that as being the population for metropolitan Rosamond from the base boundary to 90th Street West, but that couldn't possibly be carrying all the way out to 190th Street, because there's got to be at least another 5,000 to 10,000 people out there in those areas there. So that's an item that I want us to work on and get something in front of, or get something from elections which tells us what the boundaries are, and are the boundaries the same for the school district as it is for Rmac, or does the school district boundaries, all the people that are in there, all the way out to 240th Street, can they vote for the school board? I'm really curious about that. Okay.
Well, Bill, the county elections department just brought in a new head of that department. So if you would like, I can try to set up a conference call or a Zoom meeting or something with her, and we can discuss that.
That would be fantastic. Okay. Anyone have any questions on the boundaries? Anyone think that maybe I'm trying to bite off too big of a chunk? Because I hear so many complaints when I go out to the countryside out there, like where Alan Fawn lives, and people out there say, you guys don't seem to be caring anything about what's going on out here. So what are you doing out here? You know, so, and I tell them I'm interested. I want to see what's going on. I want to see how life is with windmills and solar panels and creatures from the desert not having any place to live, so they move into the neighborhood. I'd like to know about those kind of things because all of it affects us.
I think we should represent all of Rosamond, not just, you know, the immediate city area, you know, or town area, I guess I should say. You know, the whole area that is considered Rosamond should be represented regardless, just have a voice with the county, you know. I mean, that's really what Rmac is all about, is advising the county as to the conditions of our town. And to me, it's
part
not,
of it, you know.
well, to me, it's
the
not.
original intent. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say, it's not an issue of biting off more you can chew. It's more of an issue of who we should be representing as Rosamond Township. And it should be all of Rosamond, not just the immediate town itself, you know?
Well,
Yeah.
The way I feel about it is I'm having trouble getting people to run for this board, for this council. And if out of 18,000 people, I can't even get, you know, a full slate to run, we've got to do something. We can't just keep appointing, because someone will point at that and say, you're playing with the system.
Well, you know, I'm dealing with the same stuff at the chamber too. I mean, you know, getting people to want to commit to actually lift a finger and push a button or something like that is, you know, it's just a different way of doing business when we grew up, you know.
Part of our original vision when we formed the Rmac 15 years ago was to give a place where folks could come and to one meeting and learn about what was going on. But it was also an opportunity for them to have some place to bring their difficulties or air their grievances or whatever. It was a like with a body, it was putting an ear so that we could hear what was going on and direct them to the right county agencies that may have jurisdiction. I was constantly astounded at how little our citizenry knew about how our local government worked. They didn't know Rosamond wasn't a city. They didn't know that, well, then who's in charge? Well, it's a county. But really? What county are we in? It was astounding at how little they knew. They just never paid attention until it affected them, apparently. So
yeah, that's common everywhere.
It is, but
I mean,
we can solve it here. Yeah, we can't solve it for the whole country, but we can solve it here. Ultimately, what we're looking at doing is defining what Rosamond is, you know, and if it's the same boundaries as the school district, okay, but it's so all those folks have a place to come to bring in issues that then can be redirected to the appropriate county authorities. That's ultimately what we're looking at here. to provide a service for our folks. It isn't for us to be anything. It's for us to be of service, to help our community be better, to be a better place to live and work. That was the point. So whatever we can do to do that, I'm all in favor of.
Okay, I think we beat that one to death. Okay, 11A,
Destroy my life.
administration. Office space, that's on hold, but I'm going to carry it on the agenda there just to remind us. 11B, Rmac goals and project status. That's another one of your handouts in there. I'm not going to sit here and read the whole thing out loud to you, but pay attention to the ones that have both blue and red highlights on them. Because that'll give you the status of what that item is at the current time, or what the next ball in court is that relates to that item. So I want to get with District 9 Caltrans and talk with them about some of the work that they were supposed to do on the overpass on Rosamond Boulevard. The COVID happened, then summer 2020 disappeared, then winter 2020 disappeared, and here we are almost on the doorstep of springtime 2021. COVID is still here. So I just curious as, whether it's going to be dealt with or whether it's going to be put on the back shelf and left until a couple of years down the road. We just need to know, because there are some legal issues with that if you continue leaving it for any period of time. There are roving bands of folks that have attorneys, and they love to sue communities that do not have all the latest and greatest ADA compliance items. And the county does not need that coming to them out of the hinterlands here. I'm sure that the county gets enough of that just with Bakersfield. Okay.
Well, we're doing the same thing with the chamber too. I mean, we have insurance and all that, but it's hard to plan any kind of activities because of all the ADA and PBP and all that kind of. You're not complying as an organization, you're going to get sued. Simple as that.
Okay. Moving right along, item 11 CB 52 Market. I've touched bases with Hayel Hawatmi. I talked about that a little bit last month. I had another phone conversation with him. He wants me to work with his nephew. His nephew takes care of a few commercial properties there in Rosamond, one of them being a liquor store there. So I'm going to do that. At this point, I'd like to see some paint and get rid of some graffiti and weeds and stuff like that. And some of that has been done, but it looks like someone's trying to break into that poor little building there, and that someone needs to go back and get it all closed up again. But I just want to let you know that I'm going to work with the nephew, see if we can make that area a little bit easier on the eyes. Okay. Item 12A, Rosamond Mojave Rehabilitation Project. It was kind of something I was going to talk to Lieutenant Williams about. Folks are not paying attention to the speed limits there. And with those,
what?
Yeah, I know it's a shock.
That's hard to believe.
I think they've actually sped up, Dennis, and they were already doing 80. So I'm worried about those Caltrans guys getting run over.
Wasn't me this time.
Methinks thou protesteth too much.
I always do. 12B, road repairs, upkeep, and safety. I'm looking for volunteers in the community, and I'll give them a section of town to go take a look at. Tell me whether, it still looks great. Oh, it's a little bit checkered. Oh, we had great big huge chunks of asphalt coming out. you know, kind of knowing what it's like in their particular residential area and the streets that service the area. I had one lady who bent my ear quite a bit regarding 28th Street West and 30th Street West and Orange Avenue. So I took a drive down there, and that street hasn't changed in 30 years. It's still the same. It's too narrow of a street. There's nothing can be done about that unless we tear out apartment buildings. Orange Avenue is a dirt road, has been a dirt road for 30 years. Half of it's been taken by the new contractor to do his obligation, which is to pave half of the roadway. So he's taken half of the road away from folks. But that's the nature of construction. You know, you lose things for a period of time until the work is done and move on. Now, what about the part of Orange Avenue that's not going to get repaved? Well, someone's going to have to grade it because it's almost qualifies as being an off-road path. But that's not something that's going to happen immediately. It's going to be a while before that happens. But those are some of the things that we need. You know, people complained enough about Holiday Avenue that it got paved. So if we put a work list together, we can put it in front of the county. The county can decide what they can and cannot do. As Laura has talked about at last month's meeting and a little bit this meeting, money is being spent awfully fast because of this dealing with the issues of COVID-19. And money's having to be pulled out of one pot and given to another just so that they can get through you know, a particular fiscal year. And now they're talking about taking away fossil fuels and relying on solar and wind power, which is going to be a real hoot. But that's part of what the county's looking at, is going back and seeing if we can take and develop new revenue sources. I guess basically some more taxes for those industries. So everyone can request things, and it's good to have work lists and everything, but not everything is going to get done in a particular given year. All we can do is kind of forecast it for folks.
I still owe you something on paving 75th Street West too, Bill. I'll send you that.
Okay. Appreciate that. So anyway, if you have some volunteers that want to do some work, let me know.
If you guys come across a immediate problem, you know, erosion, large potholes, some kind of that would be considered a traffic safety issue, if you want to snap a photo of it and shoot it to me, I'll make sure the Public Works Department addresses it.
Okay. I mean, Orange Avenue probably qualifies for that because, you know, you come down to the end of 28th Street and it just turns from paved road to off-road. But you don't want to put anyone down there doing paving work when you got another contractor working in that area. It's always a lot of fun mixing two contractors in an area. They get to blame each other.
Yeah.
Makes a big management mess.
Laura, you could pass on some kudos to I guess it's Kern County roads. Avenue A west of the freeway seems to develop a lot of potholes, and I know there's a part of it out to 90th that Kern County is responsible for, and there's a part of it that LA County is responsible for, and I can't remember. I think the dividing line is at 90th, and I don't remember which county is responsible for which part. But if it's Kern County, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, north and south, it's divided right down the middle of the street. So the yellow divided line, if it's north of the yellow line, it's Kern County. If it's south of the yellow line, it's LA County.
Okay, well, whoever's working on the fixing the potholes, they are doing a good job because
Good.
it does develop potholes and I'm on it almost, it seems like every day. And they're pretty rapid as far as fixing them up. So please pass on some kudos to them. I don't know who's telling them about the potholes, but whoever it is or however they're finding out, they're filling them pretty quickly.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Randy.
Okay, item that's in my court is the Brown Act and ethics training. I'm going to try to get county council to do our Brown Act training for us virtually. The AB 1234 training, there is availability of that on the internet that you can sign up for. It'll take you all of about an hour maybe to read through the materials, take the little test and get your certificate. When you get your certificate, make me a copy for your file.
Okay.
Okay.
And is that only for the new members, or do the old members have to take it every 2 years?
All members are currently due this time around.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, you just do a search on AB 1234 and it'll pop up.
Okay, item 12D, meeting etiquette. Basically, I just want to make everybody aware that, you know, we're virtual and we're all adults, but there are also children watching. I know a mom that has her children watch community meetings for civics to learn how government works and stuff. So we need to be mature. Try to keep the colorful language for offline. Okay. 12E, Rmac Facebook page and web page. We've had the Rmac Facebook page now for, gosh, 6, 7 years now. And we're finally starting to see folks reading the page, reading the things that are posted, which is good. I have a request from one of my fellow directors to add additional editors on. And as I told that director, we probably should do it, but I'm a little apprehensive. And that's just trying to maintain content control. Because each of us, we represent ourselves, but we also represent Rmac. We're the face of the Board of Supervisors here in this town. And we always have to make sure that we have a consensus of opinion on things, not running around making law or telling people what to do. So I'm a little concerned about the editorial aspect of it, but I'm looking for input as to what everyone thinks. I can add a couple of editors. I want someone that's conversant with Facebook, because it makes it a lot easier if you know how to work your way around that. The next item is a web page. We've never had a web page. I'm thinking if we ever get to a point where we can open an office, we might be able to ask the county to let us have a web page. But I would also like to hear your opinions on that as well. Okay. 12F, correspondence. Forgive me for housekeeping today, but that's what all of this is just sweeping in the corners. Correspondence, written communications for the Rosamond Municipal Advisory Council is to be mailed to the following address: Post Office Box 626, Rosamond, California, 93560. Rmac will also respond to the community that leave comments on the Rmac Facebook page. The directors will not, however, respond to posts on other Facebook sites that seek action from Rmac on a given matter. There's a couple of folks that crawl up on a little soapbox in places and stuff and try to issue stick and rudder. Be very careful if you respond to those. Make sure that you have comfort that you know how your fellow directors feel about what you're going to say. And when in doubt, don't say anything. Just let the comment pass. Okay. Item 13, Director's Agenda Referrals. Anyone have anything?
No.
Okay. Paragraph 14, Director's Comments. Dennis?
What? I didn't do nothing.
Yes, you did. Okay.
I am innocent of all charges this time.
Okay.
I got to tell you, I had one passing thought. I was reminded the other day about the first time we had Brown Act training. The Kern County Council came over and did that for us right there at Hummel Hall. And we had the foresight to, back in those days, we always had a pot of coffee going, and I bought, or Cindy bought a tray full of brownies. And from that time on, the Kern County Council has expected Brown Act brownies every time we we did that training. The guy who did the training, by the way, this is kind of parenthetical, and it goes back to the fact that we periodically had requests there at the base for pictures of Ed Murphy, who was the author of Murphy's Law, who was assigned to the sled track projects with Dr. Stapp, both the acceleration and deceleration tracks. And I just happened to run into a person, a Bakersfield Business Conference that was held in the downtown Bakersfield years ago, when Supervisor Maitman asked us to set up an Edwards display there in the county building lobby. The lady that came by said, "Oh, I'm glad to see an Edwards display. That my brother used to be out there, Ed Murphy. He's the one that had Murphy's Law." I said, "Oh, hold it. You're related to Ed Murphy? You have any pictures of him? We don't know what he looks like. There's nothing. We have nothing." Come to find out, the lady was B. Barman, who was married to Bernie Barman, who was the Kern County Council, the senior attorney for the county at the time. And since then, I've arranged for our historians out at the, well, not historians, the museum curator and his assistant to meet with them. And now they know what he looks like. But that all comes back to those. This was before we had an Rmac, actually. So I said all that to say this, that I really miss the days when we can meet in person and discuss these various aspects of the Brown Act, so we could all be in compliance. What we're doing now is a better than nothing, but just isn't as good as everybody being in the same room. You know, because go ahead.
Bill, if I may, I'd like to piggyback on that just a little bit, looping back to your Facebook and admin roles and things like that. And I would never intentionally step on county council's toes. So this is something that during your training, you should probably confirm with them. But I would suggest no more than 2 admins. Facebook can get to be a slippery slope pretty fast. And before you know it, 3 board members are commenting on the same post, and it can get muddy pretty quick. So I would suggest, again, making, like Bill said, making sure you are firm in knowing that this is how the board as a whole feels. refrain from giving personal opinions on anything because you're constantly viewed as representatives of Rmac. And I would suggest maybe limiting it to 2 admin board members. And maybe if you wanted a third, just pull somebody from the community or something. But that's just my 2 cents on that. I would definitely discuss it further with county council when the time arises.
Okay. Appreciate that. Thank you, Laura.
Yeah, thanks. That was good.
Okay.
Can I put in my 2 cents real quick on that, Bill?
Why, certainly.
So I think it's a good idea to have at least 1 or 2, only because we want our Rmac page to be the go-to page for Rosamond information. And unfortunately, right now, it's not the go-to page for Rosamond information, but factual information, not hearsay. I know you do a good job posting when you do get information to post, but we should be, Rmac should be, there's a lot of followers on the Facebook page. We should be the Rosamond go-to page for information. Everyone who's sharing it should be sharing the Rmac page, should be out to Eye on Rosamond and all the other crazy local pages, but it should generate from Rmac. So that, and I know that one person can't handle all that. So that's why I feel that maybe more than one person should be on there. But I do understand your standpoint on why. I get it.
Alrighty. Okay. Thank you, Lisa.
You're welcome.
Adjournment. Need a motion?
I'll motion it.
Who was that?
I'll
was you,
second.
Lisa? Okay.
I'll
Who
second.
seconded?
Dennis.
Dennis Schaffner? Okay. I can't write and look at the screen at the same time, guys. I'm sorry. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
Okay.
Bye, everybody.
Meeting is adjourned.
Bye.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you.
Later,
Good
guys.
night.
Have a good night. Nice seeing y'all.
8:51.